Good morning, friends. We're going to do this again because last night we had some difficulty with the audio. So hopefully we'll get a better delivery today. This is the VMAX cash flow strategy presentation. So cash flow is imperative. Right now we have political unrest. We have skyrocketing inflation. We have disrupted supply chains. We have AI taking over the world. We have robotics in conjunction with AI. Amazon has more robots than they do employees. That's today. That's not even counting what's happening in the future. If we look at the growth rates, these topics are a reason that every single one of us should be looking at what we plan to do about our cash flow in 2026 and beyond. The VMAX sentiment-based trading system that I'm going to talk to you about over the next 35 minutes or so is designed to let you tap into an existing multi-trillion-dollar marketplace every single day and take home a little piece of that without putting your own capital at extreme risk, if any risk at all. All right, so let's move on. Who this is for. Now, the slide here says this is for day traders and futures traders. We're going to add a couple of groups to that. All right, so one, if you're a day trader, it's for all markets, futures, equities, metals, forex, crypto, you name it. This system works on all of them, which I'll demonstrate here briefly. And another group of people is entrepreneurs, business owners, or those of you who want to become business owners, those of you who have an entrepreneurial spirit. This is something that you should definitely consider. So pay attention, and I'll explain to you how and why going forward. Also, if we're talking about traders who want structure and traders who are tired of emotional decision making. If you are a business owner or aspire to become a business owner and you've heard horror stories about the markets, those are probably based a lot on emotional decision making. This process will help you get around that. This tool is designed for that. And again, I ask you to bear with me just a little bit longer. In the event that you notice a little difficulty in my speech, I'm going to explain that to you momentarily. Now, who this is not for. This is not for your get-rich-quick seekers. Okay? If you're looking for $1 million next month on automation done for you, this is not the system for you. You can go ahead and leave now. I don't want you to waste your time, and I don't want you to waste my time. Pie in the sky never filled anybody's belly, okay? And also, this is not for people who are unwilling to follow rules. Now, that was one of the hardest things for me to get over. But if I can get over it, anyone can get over it, and I'm going to explain to you in some detail what I mean by that. Now, I can win using the VMAX system after brain surgery. Now, this is an AI image that anybody can put up, anybody can create. This. I put in a prompt and I uploaded my logo, and this is what I got, right? But let me show you the real story, okay? So here's the VMAX. This is me back on my birthday in 2025. I was at a cash flow conference down in Orlando. 2017, this is an image of the MRI. This is my doctor back here. This is the non-cancerous brain tumor that I had that ultimately by May of 2025 ended me up here, where they had to remove it in emergency surgery. A few weeks later, this is me, defiant, standing, leaning very heavily on my daughter's vehicle. And here's me on Father's Day of 2025 at my daughter's house making pancakes for my family, because I don't believe that the hand we're dealt is the only hand that we have. You got to play the cards, right? Okay. So now, here we are. Just 2 weeks ago, I signed the contract that I was negotiating before the surgery, so that I'll have a funded trader program. That's why I said you don't have to put your own capital at risk. So we're putting that together now. And I had already created the VMAX tool, which I'm so thankful and I'm very blessed that I did that beforehand, before the surgery, because I can navigate the markets with so much simplicity that even as I'm recuperating, which I should have a full recovery. I have had a tremendous recovery thus far. I'm about 6 months in, just over 6 months into my recovery. They say recovery typically takes between 12 to 18 months. So I'm either just past the halfway point or just shy of the halfway point, depending on how long that takes. Obviously, I'm, exercising and taking supplements and things like that to improve my condition. And, I don't know if you can tell right here, I got some facial paralysis, and that is what keeps my speech from being 100%. Is, I have a hard time keeping, moving my mouth, because half of my face is paralyzed. I can't blink my left eye. But apparently Michael Jordan once said obstacles don't have to stop you. If you run into a wall, don't turn around and give up. Figure out how to climb it, go through it, or work around it. And that's what I have done, and you can too. And the VMAX system is very simple, and I'm going to show you how simple it is here in the next few slides. So just hang on, stay with me. This is a very important expenditure of your time. I respect your time, so let's move forward. So what we're going to figure out today is how to trade with confidence using the VMAX system without chasing 100 indicators and getting confusing signals and having a chart that would confuse Einstein himself. I see these Facebook groups, and I see people with their lines and their shadows and their supply zones and their moving large crossovers and their Bollinger Bands and their stochastics and their chandeliers and their this and their that, and I'm like, oh, that poor child. I don't say that arrogantly. I just know that, I used to be there in my less mature days of trading. I've been doing this for the last 13 years. This has been my half of my day job and my hobby as well, right? Well, while some people were watching Stranger Things on Netflix, I was watching charts, trying to understand pattern recognition, and I was learning, I was investing, I was making investments with different mentors, and I was looking at strategies, and I was looking at approaches, and I was looking at fundamentals. And so what I've decided to do now is to take everything that I have learned, and I went from being unknowledgeable to being unprofitable, from unprofitable to profitable but inconsistent, to becoming consistently profitable. Okay? Now, if I can save you, years of that struggle and that walk, why would you? If someone said to you, listen, you can climb Mount Everest, here's a walking stick, or I can give you a helicopter ride to the top, which one would you take? All right? So now in this In this presentation today, we're going to talk about a limited time best value offer. That was a 2-year license of the VMAX system, plus 2-year access to our video library, plus 2 years of mentoring, virtual mentoring, and then a 1-year free bonus. And those of you who stick around to the end, last night at the end, near the end of the presentation, I bumped up my offer, and I'll do the same thing today. So hang around, because bottom line is, we're going to make a commitment. Your trading career isn't to get rich. This month you're in, and next month you're selling something on Shopify. Okay? What you need to know is that your system and your mentors, I've had this system for the last 3 years. The VMAX is 3 years old right now. Okay? We've done a lot of integration, we've done a lot of upgrades, and we're constantly trying to adapt and stay dynamic to the changing marketplace, the changing circumstances, and so you're going to appreciate our commitment to you to stick around as you get better and better at this, because every day that you're in the markets, you're going to have the same battle. It's the same. It's a battle that if you have the right tools, you can easily win, or you can lose if you drop your armament and you leave it behind, or you forget how to do something, or you don't remember to clean and polish your weaponry in this battle. It could rust, and you could end up on the losing side. And so we're going to stay with you in this particular offer. This is 3 years. Okay, we have up to a 5-year, and we're going to talk about that. I'm going to offer near the end of this presentation. We're going to offer those of you who are here near the end of the presentation, you'll have exclusive access to even better offer than this right here. So let's move forward. Come on, let's go. All right, what you'll learn today: why most traders stay stuck. You're also going to learn what the 3 pillars of consistent trading are. You're going to learn what the VMAX system does and how mentoring amplifies your results. I made that green for the following reason. Mentoring changed my trading path. All right. Now, I had to find the right mentor. I had to find a mentor who was consistent, who respected my time, and was professional. My very first mentor didn't quite cut that bar. My second mentor was, but tended to be slightly, okay, let me just tell you this story. I don't like to speak ill on anybody, but the 48 laws of power, I think it's law number 2. Don't outshine the master. So in that mentoring group, a lot of people thought that I was the right-hand man because I performed well and I was outspoken, and I wasn't afraid to ask the embarrassing, simple questions. Okay? Now, I was not the right-hand man. I wasn't, there was at least 2 other people who I considered, that I knew they were on the inside track, and I wasn't. But so that relationship, I ended up going my own way. Okay, I took the foundational concepts and I found ways to apply those and create the VMAX system, which is much simpler and more straightforward than the system that I had, but it works on the same premise. So that mentoring changed the trajectory of my personal trading, and typically I know Richard Branson has spoken quite extensively on the benefits of mentoring. So when billionaires speak on financial matters, it often is a good idea to listen, okay? Maybe not on everything else that they discuss, but on financial matters, mentoring in this arena has helped me and it will help you. And then I want to break down the limited time VMAX offer, okay? Now, the old way that most traders operate, they use indicator overload, hoping for a magical mix. They strategy hop. When the magical indicator overload doesn't work, everyone gets a beginner run, right? Everybody gets a beginner run. Then they have a couple losses. They haven't learned significant things like risk management. So they jump. Emotionally, they jump. Because they don't have a clear process. They have random results and random outcomes. That's what they've got, and that's the way that 97% of traders trade. All right, and I say that's from an insider perspective. I have a trading tool, and I have trader funding. Okay, so I am very deeply involved in this industry. I understand the metrics. I've had the behind the scenes conversations, and I'm telling you right now that this way doesn't work, but 97% of traders use this type of a system or this type of an approach to the markets, and we're going to help you skip over that and become part of that winning percentage, if you will. Pay attention, apply the rules, make the efforts that are needed and adjustments that need to be made. We're going to increase your odds of getting to that success bridge, right? Now, what is the VMAX system? The VMAX system is a rule-based trade signal framework. All right, now, that doesn't mean you have to take a trade. I like to say there's a trade opportunity signal, because there's an opportunity to take a trade. You have to understand what you're looking at and find out whether or not. There's always an opportunity to take a trade, right? You can take a trade virtually any time, any day, any moment. Whether you should or shouldn't is going to depend on how well you've learned the system and how much control you have over your emotions. Now, nothing we say here is financial advice. Legally speaking, not allowed to do that, right? Okay, so nothing is financial advice. You are responsible for your own trading decisions. This is going to be, hopefully, a way for you to be better educated and have a better perspective when you make those decisions. However, it is up to you, and keep in mind, trading is risky. If you can help reduce that risk by understanding things like trading psychology, market sentiment, you can risk reward, risk management, and also by using someone else's money. Now you give away, you profit share if you use someone else's money, but that's only fair, right? Okay, so the VMAX system is based on several things. It's based somewhat on trends, but the market only trends 20% of the time, right? 80% of the time. That might be a little generous. I've seen that it's only 12% of the time it trades, and 88% of the time it goes sideways. So if you're only in a trend-based system, you're already losing. Momentum. Now, momentum is a tricky one, right? So the big one here is sentiment. How does the market feel right now? I typically like to trade down on the 30-second time frame, so I can look really close to what's been happening within the last 30 seconds. Now, can it go faster than that? Sure it can. there's high frequency traders that will make multiples of trades, hundreds and thousands of trades in milliseconds. So 30 seconds is like a lifetime to a high frequency trading system. Those are typically only available to institutions. They're not available to retail traders like yourself or myself. So 30 seconds is pretty aggressive if you look at the retail trading environment. 30 seconds is an aggressive trade, okay? And then volatility. These are the things that are the VMAX is based on. However, it's designed for clarity, not clutter. And I'm going to demonstrate that to you briefly, okay? So now, I want to talk to you just for one moment, those of you who are business owners or have aspirations to become business owners. Those of you who are traders already, please bear with us for the next 3 or 4 minutes. We're going to get through some, this might seem like Greek to you, but those of you who are in business, why I created the VMAX. So back in 1997, I was in merchant services. 1997 to 2005. I really enjoyed that part of my career. I worked in the Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia tri-state area. I was known as the Visa guy. People would, I'd walk into a business and the employees would call for the owner and say, hey, the Visa guy's here. And I really enjoyed that. But as things do, that became commoditized, and the internet pretty much took all of the steam out of the merchant services business, and I was late to that development. Well, it's kind of ironic. I knew that pricing needed to change, so I tried to change the pricing in my local market, and people weren't ready for that. They asked me, well, like, the last 3 guys who were in here wanted X for this. You want a third of that. You must not be telling me something. And my failed argument then was, well, I see the handwriting on the wall. Then the internet came in, and Costco got in the business, and suddenly the pricing went even lower than I had tried to take it, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do the same work that I'm doing for a tenth of the pay. I was willing to do it for a third of the pay, but I didn't want to do it for a tenth of the pay. And so I converted over to the then arising merchant cash advance industry. Back in 2005, you had your merchant cash advance was based on your credit card sales, and they would hold a part of your sales. And that seemed like a kind of a fair evaluation. And if you want to control your costs, you, as a merchant, you could offer cash discounts, so you could hold your merchant services, you could hold your credit card processing down, therefore controlling how much of your liquidity went back to paying off your MCA. Then the MCA mafia got wise to that, and they're like, well, listen, we can give you more money if we use your daily deposits as our metric for approvals. And merchants fell for that one hook, line, and sinker. But what happened was, now your entire business is hostage to this MCA. So here, let's look at an average. This happened every single day. You get a $50,000 merchant cash advance at a 1.38 factor rate over a 7-month term. You pay back $69,000, so you've got $19,000 and 7 months that you got to come up with to pay for that 50. Or $448 per day. Now, $448 per day is going to take the knees right out of most of your small businesses. Now, there are those businesses who they're like, yeah, what would I do with 50,000? So, there was, it was not uncommon to have $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 MCAs with commensurate costs and fees. And that's not counting renewals. Now, my commission on these was a nice commission. That $50,000 would probably net me about $4,800 commission on the first round. Now, the thing about these MCA deals, if you're a business owner, you already know this. If you're thinking about getting business, be prepared for this. And if you're a trader, then we're almost done here. Okay, so the thing is, this 19 grand is hard to overcome, right? So you're going to probably double down and do it again. The average merchant goes back to till between 4 to 6 times before they maybe end up bankrupt, right? Or they just say, you know what, I'm done. Whatever happens, happens. Let the chips fall where they may. I got tired of, I missed the Visa guy moniker, and I was really worried that I was becoming more like Guido. I was the guy who was coming in saying, I hate to see something happen to your business, with a brick in one hand, called an MCA. So I was like, I need to find a way out of this business. And I knew I had an interest in the markets since the mid-'80s. So I started looking at the markets. And as I got better, and as I developed this tool, I realized that I could bring this solution to the table for my merchants. Now, can you make 50,000 in 48 hours? That's very, 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 very highly unlikely. However, if you start today, you might be able to accumulate that 50,000 or 69,000 or 118,000. You can easily, it's not that hard to pick up $448 per day when using the VMAX once you get the hang of it. And using our money, I'm going to demonstrate. In fact, the background of this image leads us to our next image. I'll show you. Last night, which was Friday evening, at 5:26 and 44 seconds, I jumped into a Bitcoin trade at 17:26:44. At 17:27:08, so that would have been 24 seconds later, I got out of that trade and I had made $147. Okay, minus these fees. So I made about 144 bucks in 24 seconds. And I had been sitting in front of my chart at that point in time about 2 minutes. So multiply that, do that 3-4 times in a day using our very simple system, and bam, there's your 448. But instead of it being outlay, it's income. It's incoming, right? Okay, so now you don't have to be a small business owner to have an MCA to understand that math. You can be a trader. You could never have had a business. If you can understand that this point of this indicator is lower than that point, and that this point is lower than that point, you can probably understand how to use the VMAX. Now, if you can't understand that this point right here is lower than that, and then this point right here is lower than that, maybe you can understand this green line means the price is going up, and this red line means the price is likely going down. Okay, so it's really that simple, and that is why I was able to make $147 profitable trade after sitting down for 2 minutes, and I was able to make that profit in 24 seconds. Now, someone says, listen, I want more. Okay, fine. You want more? Then don't trade after 5:30 at night when there's not a lot of people in the market, okay? Don't scalp. That's what I do. I scalp. I want it right now. Give it to me, and then let me get away. Maybe you could hold trades for longer. There's a lot of different things that you're going to learn in the mentoring, okay? So, but this is what we're talking about. The VMAX is a better way, right? Okay. Now, here's a good look at the VMAX. Here's a different setup for the same tool. Again, our green means the mark is going up. The red means likely go down. You got higher and lower. You got this point right here is higher than that point, so probably going up. This on the bottom of these, higher again, likely going up. In case you can't figure out where higher and lower is, we've got the green and the reds, right? The green and the reds. Okay? It's clarity. It's very simple. There is one other very simple, like right here, these lines. You click a button, your computer puts these lines on this chart for you, and those could potentially be targets. But other than that, this is what the system looks like. Now, why does my lines are down here? You can put them on the chart, or you can have them below the chart. That's up to you. All right, there it is. It's just that simple. If you think you can figure it out, then and you want to take from the trillions that are already there, without dancing for TikTok, without the algorithm shadow banning you, without Facebook telling you you're not allowed to advertise that product that way on our platform, then maybe you should look at the markets. Maybe you should look at the VMAX. Here's some charts from 2000, and the next several slides, I'm going to go back to 2010 to 2012 on the monthly chart using the VMAX. This is Apple and the VMAX. Just take a glance, you're going to see the green typically leads to, it's followed up by these blue candles, and the red, you're going to find orange candles, right? There's a reason we have orange candles and blue candles as far as for trade psychology. There's physiological things that happen in your brain when you see certain colors, and so we steer away from the standard red and green candles. Okay, so here you can see this is held pretty true since 2010. Now that's on Apple. Here we go. Here we go. This is the Widowmaker, right? Those of you who trade, you know that this oil futures, right? Crude oil futures contract. Look at these beautiful signals. Now, are they always right? No, that's part of the rent. You pay rent for a business. This is a business. So sometimes on a monthly, even on 30 seconds, sometimes it just doesn't catch it all, and that's the price of doing business. But if these red and blue lines, green lines don't help you, then this little line right here with the higher and lowers should give you some indication, right? So here we go, lower than this one. This one's lower than that one. And then here we got an orange candle. And then followed up by that red candle. But then we got down here, right? So we would wait. We'll teach you these things, but it's really simple. Higher, lower, red and green columns. Here's Bitcoin. Green. Well, this is probably, this one here, we have to get a little more granular, right? To see that. But even then, even if you miss this one, you started here, and the worst case scenario you got down here, which is still up, right? So that's a winner. Here's a winner. Here's a winner. Here's a winner. Here's a winner. 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 Chicken dinner. Okay? That Bitcoin. Here, for those of you who want to trade currencies, here's the Euro USD on the monthly since 2010. Same thing on the ES, the S&P 500. Those of you who have not traded, you might not know that ES represents the S&P 500. It's an index of the 500 top stocks in the United States. Here's a less talked about, more traditional stock. This Ford Motor Company. It works here. Here's the NASDAQ. Green, red. Here's some crossover. Now we gotta go up to here. We gotta go up, so here we got high, low, and then we got these pullback candles. Ultimately they end up the price up instead of low, but that's technical stuff you gotta worry about. Here we go. Green, giant move. Red, pretty decent move. Green, move. Red, move. Green. There we go. It's just that simple. Alright, and then we'll teach you how to even come down in here. We'll teach you how to control your losses. We'll teach you how to avoid trades. This is a monthly trade. Very unlikely that you're going to jump in and make a monthly trade, right? You're gonna need to see entries more frequently than on a monthly basis, most likely. So we'll teach you that in our mentoring. All right. So the three pillars of the VMAX are signal clarity, which I think we just demonstrated, the risk framework, and the execution discipline. These are things you're going to learn as you go through our trainings, and especially you're going to perfect if you get into the mentoring. Okay? The important thing for you to understand is structure plus rules equals consistency. Now, the VMAX plus mentoring. We do virtual mentoring, through Zoom. We're going to give you feedbacks on your trades, and we're going to give you step guidance. Risk and discipline coaching. This is the most important thing, that managing your losses is as important to as watching for profitable trades. I'll give you a little hint. A hedge fund number one priority is protecting the deposits that are made by the clients of the hedge fund. That's their you can, because listen, if I give you $1 million and 2 years later you gain back $1 million, I can't be that mad at you, right? Now if you give me $2 million, I'm gonna love you, but if you give me back nothing, I would be mad as a hornet. Okay? So that's that principle right there. You can write that down. Protect your capital, whether it's your capital or it's capital that you've used, like join with us or some other funded trader program. Protecting that bottom line is key. We've all heard it said that Warren Buffett's like, I'm all cash. I'm sitting on my hands, I'm on the sidelines. Sometimes knowing when to stay out is as important as knowing when to get in. Okay? So that's a freebie. Our comprehensive video library, the main thing about that is, well, these two things right here should be green, right? We're going to give you hacks. There's a hack on this chart that I didn't even discuss. It's as visible right now as the screen is. However, if you don't know what you're looking for, you might miss it, or it might take you a long time to find it. Okay. Another thing is psychological and discipline lessons, or psychology, it says here. Psychology and discipline lessons. That is super important. Alright, so this limited offer. Okay, we're almost done, folks. Okay, we'll be done in just a couple minutes. So the 2-year VMAX system license, you have to have a TradingView premium account to get this license. Whether you trade on TradingView or whether you trade on some other platform, you can do either a split screen or a multi-screen. You got to have TradingView premium to be able to get the VMAX. That's just how it's registered. We get a full video library, virtual mentoring for 2 years, okay? And then we're doing a bonus offer for 1 additional year for free. And then those of you who have stuck around this long, use the discount code October, and that will take you to a special pricing on the 5-year. That's significant discount on the 5-year. Those of you who, really want to mature your trading, solidify your trading, so that you can solidify your cash flow into the future. We have built in AI resistant features. We've got articles where we've literally asked AI how the trading markets can compete with algorithmic trading at a retail level. And the one thing you have that AI will never be able to have is perspective, okay? And that's where your strength is. We're going to help you learn to develop that and strengthen it. We're going to go, we can go as short as 120 days. We can go as long as 5 years. How serious you are is how serious we are, okay? Actually, we're serious at the 5-year level and beyond. We prefer, the 120-day, if you do great in 120 days, that's probably beginner's luck. The consistency, and you're going to need money after 120 days, right? You're going to need money after 1 year, after 3 years, after 5 years. How much money, how good you are at extracting money from the markets is really going to depend on your commitment level. So again, October is the discount code, and now we're going to give you a special discount on the 5-year. Now, how long is this going to last? Until I want to do this video again, okay? When I want to do this video again, we'll take out these discount slides and we'll do it again, and this video will not exist. Therefore, people won't know what they're missing out on. Here we are at 44 minutes and 19 seconds. I think we're about done. GetVMAX.com/enroll, or probably there'll be a sign up form to get you to the pricing page right below this. I'll let the web guys figure that out. That's it, folks. Thank you very much. I really appreciate your time, and I look forward to working with you.